Well, good morning. I am sitting in my van right now outside my hotel. I'm at a festival this weekend in Blue Springs, Missouri. Festival's long. Today it starts noon, goes noon to 10, tomorrow 10 to 10, and then Sunday is, I don't know, it's 10 to 4, noon to 4, one of the two, I don't remember. But anyway, I decided that I'm by myself. I don't have a helper this weekend. So I decided I'm going to treat myself to some coffee this morning. Actually, like a latte, I think. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've had one. So that wasn't homemade. I make latte at home. It's pretty good. Yeah, so welcome to a festival vlog. Well, got my coffee. They called me Julie. Realized I forgot all of my water at the hotel. So back to the hotel and then on to the festival. This is what things are looking like right now. I'm partially set up. I've got flower art and ornaments all the way up. Other than that, I've got a ways to go. Set up and sweating already. But here's what we're looking like today. I got a couple new display items. I'll check that out. My headphones are here on the table. Cut off of there. I do have a couple new display items. I bought these little round things right here for the bracelets, the ones that lay flat. No, I don't know about those. I might need another one, like, I don't know, we'll see. And I got this little hand up here. Right? I think that's kind of cool. I don't know, we'll see. Okay, as usual, jewelry wall, and then flower art back there. Got the journals and bookmarks right here. And then on my shelf, I did something a little bit different because I did bring more bookends to sell this time. So I set it up kind of like a bookshelf. So bookends, I got a little Nomi over there, and then some bookmarks for sale kind of in the center. And I did the same thing on the second shelf. So I have two set of bookends with me. Of all the things I have that I didn't have multiples of has been the bookends, and every time I brought them out they have sold, and when I don't have them, people are trying to take my display. So down here I just have another journal, gnome, and some cups, so a lot less focus on the cups, which is nice. I'll kind of give you a peek back here, my little world. I'm not totally done kind of organizing things. Got a snack, my book, so got a notebook, my phone, keys, backstock. So I love these crates because I can keep some of my jewelry backstock there, some cups, backstock, and then packaging stuff all right here. So yeah, that's what we're doing. Okay, so Fridays are usually slow, but 45 minutes in, we sold 3 items. So one of my neighbors is a political booth, and they're not always the best neighbors to have, you know, because a lot of people kind of like skirt around them. But I don't know if it's as bad as having like one of the like windows or signing people next to you that like call out to people and try to get them to do whatever. I mean, they're calling out to people too, but they're being kind of fun about it. But a petition lady showed up and tried to like join their booth, and she was like chasing people down in front of my booth and then like clogging up the area, like, you know, forcing people to. I had to tell her to get out of here. Like, I had to tell her to get lost. Like, and she was kind of arguing with, so I had to be like pretty dang rude about it. I'm just like, get the hell out of here. Go find somewhere else to be. And yeah, nothing like totally against petitioning, but like, this is like in front of my little business here, like keeping people from getting here, making people not want to come over here. So fortunately they didn't let her stay in their booth, but so I have done this to keep people from cutting through. They still are. They're still cutting through. They're squeaking through this, what is this, 18 inches, and then going under here. Well, so far Blue Springs is into earrings and rings. It's still slow because it's still it's like 3 o'clock right now, Friday afternoon. So far not so bad. So the political booth has allowed the petitioner to join their booth, which, you know, and they're like, you know, of course, calling out to people, all the things petitioners do. being next to a political booth is hard. I've already said this. Now it's even harder. And I'm, right across from like a Windows, siding company. And I'm sure you've all been to a festival where, they're trying to get your information, blah, blah. People run away from that. So like I emailed the organizer because I'm like, I came here to make money, not watch people run away from a petitioner. So we just had a girl run into my booth showing me the watch she bought from me this summer at Downtown Days in Lee Summit. She said that she loves it, and people ask her where she got it all the time. She gets compliments always, so it's really nice to hear. Okay, so it is about 1:30, and I have sold $32 worth of stuff, so yeah. Today, we're fighting against redistricting with respectful voters. Something smells like cat pee. 5:30. I have scratched and clawed my way to $150. $150. That's insanity. So on a Saturday, I'm accustomed to having like at least 10 times that amount. So. All right. So day 3, I am ready to hopefully make. I need at least $100 to at least get into like profit territory, like tiny profit territory. I'm ready to do that and get the hell out of here. Like, this has been my least favorite festival. Well, no, that's not true. One that was worse, but at least my last one at the Blueberry Festival, where I like lost so much money, at least it was enjoyable because I enjoyed hanging out with the vendors. So yeah, I'm ready to get home. So the political booth next to me has decided they're going to go all out today and not follow the rules because the other political booth down the road is not following the rules and being super aggressive out in the street. So this is why I pay booth fees with a credit card when I can, because believe me, I will be disputing this booth fee because the organizers have rules that say people can't like bark out into the street and things like that because it does injure the businesses around them. Yeah, and last night got nuts. Like after the alcohol started flowing, there were, of course, Democrat booth attracts Democrats, Republican booth attracts Republicans, and so the booth next to me is the Democrat booth, and there were a bunch of Democrats around the booth, and then Republicans passing by, and these shouting matches started, and it was really stupid. So ridiculous. Well, it's 1 o'clock right now. So far today has been my best sales day. So I went in, with very high hopes, and things did not turn out well. Not because people weren't interested in my items, they were. But because of political fighting outside my booth. That is insane to me. People don't go to festivals, I feel like they go to have fun. Whether it's shopping or they're going for food trucks or they're going for the carnival or music or whatever it is, they're going there to have fun, not deal with politics, right? But yeah, I don't know. It was just terrible. Friday night, the candidate who was very, very nice, but he was outside the booth. He had this little sign up, and trying to get people to come over and talk to him. And when he would get somebody, they would they would end up in front of my booth, blocking the space. And so I would go out and be like, hey, whenever you get somebody to come talk to you, can you, try to make sure you're not over here blocking people from coming. And of course he was like, yeah, of course, and then it would just happen again. And I don't think it was intentional. It's just the way it went. But so that was definitely a hindrance on Friday. And Friday they started getting a little bit of snarky comments from conservatives or Republicans walking by. Now there was a Republican booth down the way too, so it wasn't just the Democrats there. Yeah. So Saturdays when things got bad. Saturday is when I left early, like a couple hours early. Once the sun set and people, like, that alcohol was really just going, and you could tell because they would walk by, and it was men, only men. Women did not do this. Like, the men they would start like running their mouth and start getting really aggressive. And then on Saturday night, the Democrats had like a pretty big crowd around their booth, and so those guys would come walking by and just start running their mouth. And then, of course, someone or some people from the Democrat side would start yelling at them, and then it would escalate over here. And at one point, there was like some like shoving. Well, guess what? I'm sitting in there in my booth with my flowers and my jewelry, and women are not coming over there because they don't want to be around aggressive men. They don't. I mean, men don't want to necessarily be around other guys fighting. Women certainly don't, and I at one point had some like younger women in my booth, and this started up outside, and it was just on and on and on. Like, somebody would come and they would start fighting, and then that would settle down, and somebody else would come and start fighting, and it was ridiculous. But I had some younger women in my booth, and then that stuff started out there, and they looked at me and they were like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and they just ran away, and so there I sat. So yeah, I made the decision to, like, I can't sit here and just listen to this, and I'm not making any money anyway, and I'm tired, so I just like zipped up my booth and I left. So I probably lost out on a few sales, but at that point it just didn't matter. I just wasn't going to deal with it anymore. Sunday ended up being my best sales day. But Sunday morning, the chamber sent out a text message to everybody, "Hey, if anybody needs any help, blah, blah, blah." So I sent them a message, and I was like, "Yeah, can you stop the petitioning inside my booth?" Because I'd already emailed them. Well, now I had like a working phone number for the weekend, right? And they're like, "Well, they're allowed to petition as long as they're not yelling out into the street." And I'm like, "Well, they are. Like, we all signed that vendor contract that said we don't do that, and they are, and they have been all weekend." Okay, well, we'll send security over. Of course, I don't know what their tone of voice was. I'm just talking from a text message. But did this happen? No, it did not. So that activity was still taking place on Sunday, but it wasn't as aggressive. Yeah, it was a lot more laid back. So, yeah. So that was Blue Springs, and I will never go again. Never ever again. But on the positive side, like I said, I did make the tiniest profit. Totally not worth the hours spent, though. The positive, though, is that while I was there, and once I started tracking it, people were coming into my booth. So it was nice to have some people came into my booth and they were like, "Hey, I met you at Downtown Days." And they're like showing me, like, a lot of them were wearing like the bracelet, and they're like, "I got this and I just love it," and blah, blah, blah. And people ask me about it all the time. And so that was nice, that was fun. And then, like I was saying, just under 20%, once I started tracking, just under 20% of my sales came from people who walked into my booth saying that they had been looking for me at Santa Calagon Days. And I was like, and there I was in Indiana at the Blueberry Festival. But it also made me wonder, like, how many people, like, if that many people are coming here and telling me they were looking for me, how many people were looking for me at Santa Calagon Days? Like, how many? I mean, I don't know, but I feel like that's a good sign. So yeah. It was not me this time. It was not necessarily my spot or the location of my spot. It was my neighbor next to me ruined my event. So what do? You like never know what's going to happen. Never. But I can tell you that from now on, whenever I'm sending in an application, I will tell the organizers, do not put me near a political booth. Because if I'm near a political booth, you can bet I'm going to cancel. Anyway, That's what's going on there. I have a festival coming this weekend, also in the Kansas City area, but in a different town. It's in Lee's Summit, Missouri. Blue Springs and Lee Summit are really, really close to each other, but Blue Springs is like further out. It's really kind of one of the first cities you hit getting into the Kansas City metro area. And Lee Summit is much closer like to Kansas City. So it is different. Like the people that come around are different, even though there's some overlap. But this festival is different. I'm not sure about my location. I'm really not. I look at it and I'm like, I also called them, the organizer, the Chamber of Commerce is organizing it, and talked to the lady, and I'm like, hey, is there a lot of foot traffic down where I'm at? Because I'm like literally the last booth on this one street. And looking at the map, it does not look like the main area. And so I was like, if there's not a lot of foot traffic that goes down there, like I don't know that I can do this event, right? I was like, I'm not asking to be moved, anything like that. I'm just trying to figure out like the best thing to do for my business. And she was like, oh no, there's a lot of foot traffic, blah, blah, blah. Of course, they all say that. But this event does not have food trucks. It definitely does not have political booths. It's just kind of geared toward different stuff. Like the booths have 4 feet of space between them to encourage people to go also to the businesses behind everybody else, the restaurants and all the shops. And she said, I've never been to this event, so it's a brand new one for me, but she said that what they try to do, they want to create like a boutique shopping experience for people. So they're very picky about like how people's booths look, the mix of product, the quality of product, things like that. So I was like, oh, okay, well that means that my booth fest is like boutique-y. So anyway, yes. Also, the other thing there that's been happening kind of all year, you know, you watch people and you track your sales of what's selling and what's not. And from the very first festival that I shared with you guys, the notebook journals were surprising me. And some of the other like bookish things surprising me. So at the Blueberry Festival, I sold a lot of bookmarks, like a lot. And then it was the same situation here. A lot of bookmarks. A lot. Like the bookmarks were like rivaling the jewelry. So I just found that very interesting. And so I'm now kind of like looking at my booth and my products kind of in a different way. So I've gotten some good information. I would say almost especially from the ones that failed, because I could really see like at these events where people weren't necessarily buying a lot for whatever reason, whether it's my placement or just not my demographic, not necessarily being there, or Democrats or Republicans fighting outside my booth. You know, what were these people buying, even in places where there were not a lot of sales? So, yeah. So I do, I guess I am a little bit nerdy about some of this stuff, because I really take some of that information and I'm like, I keep spreadsheets about stuff and I'm like, okay, this is what sold here, and this is what sold here, this is what was going on, and blah, 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 blah. So, I do kind of feel like some of that information is like pointing me in like a direction. So anyway, there's all that. We'll probably maybe talk about some of that like probably at the end of the year, whenever I like really go over some of the data. But also I got some more signage, so I think this will help. So as of right now, I have like that cute little sign that sticks out the side of the booth, that has like my logo on it, and then it has like some little like cards hanging beneath it, and one of them that says like, I think it says handcrafted jewelry. I don't know. I didn't want to totally rope myself in to like repurpose watches, so it was like handcrafted jewelry and flower art. But I got one of those big signs that go like all the way across, like a Valance banner. So it goes right across the very top of a craft booth, or, you know, whatever. that has like my logo and then kind of a synopsis of what you'll find inside the booth, or, you know, just a couple words, whatever. So I am hoping that will draw more people into the booth, you know, because right now it's sort of happenstance that people find me unless they follow me on social media, because they happen to be walking by and they see something, you know, like because they're close to me. Now, if people are across the street, they don't necessarily see what's in my booth. And if they don't pass by going the other direction, they don't see it either. So I'm hoping that having a big sign across the top front will make people like across the street interested to come over and look at what's going on. So we shall see. So my fingers are crossed for Lee's Summit. Can't be any worse than Blue Springs. Literally cannot be any worse than that experience. And hopefully, okay, I don't think foot traffic could be worse than what I experienced at the Blueberry Festival either. So it has to be better, right? Like, it has to be better. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching and following along with, you know, all that drama. See you guys next time.